All right, this is for Lab 8 Assignment 1. We're going to make one more drawing, so I'm going to do this rather quickly. Just by this point you should have an idea of what's going on, but there's a couple more interesting things here. So again, same thing, don't display the sheet format. I'll say OK. I'm going to do this a little bit differently. Under the model view, I'm going to browse, and I'll find the drawing here. The part is part 33, and it now says, do I want to create multiple views here, or what do I want to do? So what I'll do is I say I want the front view here, and I'll drop it down. And turns out that isn't the view that I actually was hoping to get. And it puts the projected view right on. So this is the view that I'm actually looking for to be the kind of the front view for my thing. So I'm going to go over here, I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to delete it. And I'll bring this view over. Now what I want to do is I want to create a section view. So under the annotation tab, the drawing tab rather, I'm going to go section view, going to go vertical, and I'm going to make sure I just collect the center point of this line. I'll say OK, and I'll drag this here. There's my section A. Now what I want to do is I want to get this top view here, and you might think that if I did a projected view off of this section, it would just give me half a view, but turns out it doesn't. So I'm going to select projected view here, select this, and go up. That gives me the top view that I'm looking for, and if I do this way, it gives me the reverse of the one that I'm looking for the drawing. So I'll hit escape. I'll select this view, do a projected view, again pull off on the right hand side, and that gives me the right image that I'm looking for. So I'm going to wait for a second here. Now I'm going to select here, and I said to use the scale of 1 to 2, so that turns out to be the actual scale that I'm looking for. I don't give a scale for this one in the drawing, so you just sort of have to guess. Let's try to use a custom scale of 1 to 3. See if that kind of looks the way I want it. And I'll do the display style again, not use the parent style, and I'll say shaded with edges. So that works. And I'm just going to drop that up here a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my under my options here, under document properties, under dimensions. Turns out I do want my primary position to be 0.12, and I do want my overall drafting standard to be ANSI, and under the units, I want my units to be inch, pound, second. So all of that has worked out okay. Under my layers, I'll create a layer here. Under layer properties, again, create a new one. I'm going to call it dimensions, and set the color to blue. But you'll note on this drawing that there's actually some center lines that are green. So I'm going to create a new one. I'll call it center lines, and add in and change that color to being green. And I'll say OK. But before I get out of this, I want to be in the dimension layer. You see where the arrow is here? So I'll double click here to activate that layer. Now why is it not working for me? How do I make it active here again? Oh, it's not going to. All right. I'm just going to right click here under change layer and set my layer, my active layer, to be dimensions. That's where I need to do it. Okay, so let's go ahead and throw some dimensions on. So we'll go under annotation, under smart dimension. But before we do that, you'll note that there are some center lines here that are missing, especially on my arcs over here. So what I'm going to do is I want to keep those black. So I'm going to go to my change layer, go to my none layer, that's the standard layer. I'm going to go to center mark here, and I'll select the slot, and instead of using the single slot, I'm going to do slot edges, and that gets me that one. and then I'll come up here to select this slot. And also, now you'll note that when I do this one, these lines on the drawing are not there. So what you can do is you can, nope, that's not what I wanted. I'll click OK. And then when I click on this center mark here, you can use document defaults, or you can turn that off and turn off the extended lines for that one. So that's how that image works out. There's also center lines. So if I right click now, go to my change layer, change to center lines, I can then go to center line here, zoom in and select this line and this line. It gives me a nice green center line, and I'll do the same thing over here. Another interesting thing that you can do, since I'm talking, I'll click on this section view, and sometimes you may want to emphasize the outline. So that's kind of a nice thing to do, or know that you can do in terms of this. So I'll leave that for this drawing. And notice that when the hatch went on, the hatch actually turned onto the green layer, the center line layer. So I could change that off if I click on the hatch and change the layer to none. That'll get me back to my black layer. So now I'm going to change my layer to my dimensions, and then I'll go ahead and put the dimensions on. So we'll come up here, start on this one, radius 1, radius 0.38. The distance between centers is 1.13, and the distance from here to the end is 1.75. Now we'll go to the section layer. So select here and here, 4.63 from the center line, this line 0.5. The length of the entire object is 7.38. The depth for the first cutout for that ellipse or the ovals are 0.25. And then we come in here, we need to put an angle in, so I'm going to zoom in here nicely. I have to Control Z out of that, get back into Smart Dimension, select these two lines to get me 15. Now sometimes the arrows don't go what you want. You can actually click a dot over here and that will reverse the arrows. So you can see if I click the dot there, click the dot there, and it moves back into where we want it to be. So I want this to be 3.25. The height here from here to here is 0.88. The height here. So I'm just throwing on all the rest of the dimensions just to finish up the drawing here. And I believe that does all of my dimensions. Okay, and once again, now that you're done, you can click Save As. And again, change it as a portable network graphics PNG, and under the options, make sure that you're set to 600 DPI and click Save. Okay, so that is assignment 1 for Lab 8.